Hey, I get it. When you're looking at a handheld plastic welder, you're probably thinking, do I really need to drop a few $100 on this, and will it actually make my pipe repairs any easier? I've been there, scrolling through specs, watching a handful of vague demo videos, and worrying about ending up with a piece of equipment that just sits in the garage while the job still takes forever. Before you decide whether this 1600-watt Chming extrusion welder is worth the money, let's walk through what it actually does in a real-world setting, who gets the most bang for their buck, and where the hidden trade-offs lie. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest question is how this machine fits into the everyday workflow of someone who actually welds plastic pipe. The Chming unit is a 220-volt, dual heat engelment extruder that claims to handle PP, HDPE, and LDPE pipes. In practice, that means you can swap out a damaged section of irrigation tubing, repair a water line for a small garden, or even tackle a low-pressure PVC-style conduit in a hobby shop setting. The dual heaters are the part that sets it apart from the single heater models you see on budget sites. With 2 heating zones, the melt temperature stays more consistent as you feed the rod through, which reduces the chance of a cold spot that can cause a weak joint. I tried it on a 1-inch HDPE irrigation pipe that had a cracked splice. Within a minute of turning the knob, the rod was soft enough to extrude, and the resulting bead fused cleanly around the pipe without any noticeable bulge. That quick heat-up is where the 1600W rating matters. Compared to a 800W handheld, you'll feel the difference in how fast the barrel reaches welding temperature, usually around 30 to 45 seconds versus a minute or more on the lower power units. If you're doing a series of repairs, that time adds up. On the flip side, that power draw means you'll need a dedicated 220V outlet, which not every homeowner has in the garage. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something to plan for. If you only have standard 110V outlets, you'll need an adapter or a separate circuit, and that extra step can be a hassle for occasional hobbyists. Now, let's talk about the ergonomics. The gun itself is fairly lightweight for its class, about 6 pounds, with the power cord coiled on the back. That weight makes it manageable to hold for the few minutes it takes to run a joint, but you'll notice a bit of fatigue if you try to do a long continuous weld, like joining a 10-foot run of pipe in one go. The design encourages short, controlled strokes, which is actually a good thing because it forces you to move at a pace that lets the material set properly. If you were hoping for a set-a-tan forget machine that you can just press a button and walk away, you'll be disappointed. This tool still demands a steady hand and a little practice to get the extrusion speed right. One practical strength that often gets glossed over in marketing copy is the interchangeable nozzle system. The Chming comes with a set of 3 nozzle diameters, each designed for a different pipe size range. In my tests, swapping nozzles was a simple click-and-place action, and the transition between an inch to a 1-inch pipe took less than a minute. That flexibility is a real time saver if your projects involve a variety of pipe diameters. However, the downside is that the nozzles are made from standard brass, which can wear out after extensive use on abrasive HDPE compounds. If you're a professional who does daily welding on heavy wall pipe, you'll probably need to replace the nozzle more often than a metal alloy version would require. Another point worth mentioning is the safety features. The gun includes a built-in thermal cutoff that shuts the heating elements off if the barrel temperature exceeds a safe threshold. In my Hansen session, the unit never tripped that safety even after I left it idle for a few minutes, which suggests the cutoff is set conservatively. That's reassuring, but remember that the heating elements get hot enough to cause burns if you touch them accidentally. A quick glance at the user manual shows a recommended heat shield glove, something you should definitely have on hand. If you skip the glove, you risk a nasty fingertip singe the first time you try a longer weld. So, who should actually consider buying this welder? If you're a small-scale contractor, a serious DIY gardener, or a hobbyist who frequently works with polyethylene or polypropylene pipe, the Chming 1600W gun gives you a reliable, relatively fast melt and enough power to handle larger diameter rods without constantly pausing to let the barrel reheat. The dual heating system makes the bead more uniform.